I've been trying to learn about practical implementations of control systems. There's a bird. It's doing yoga, I think. Stretching his wings. I can't think what else it is. Anyway. So I found Martin Petterson's master's thesis from 2015. He's an engineering student he was an engineering student at Linköping's University in Sweden. And this thesis is about a thing called an attitude heading reference system, which is it's a system of sensors that is half of an autopilot. And it's really well written. It's great. And it's basically, but it has no, there's nothing about how the software is constructed. He just says it's MATLAB and C, and it's running on a embedded ARM processor. I can't imagine MATLAB's running on that, so it must be, he must be compiling, I don't know, the software is a mystery, but the reason I was looking at it was I was looking at the firmware for these electric skateboards and unicycles that these guys are building here in Tecate, and they're using a fair bit of the same set of sensors as that are used in UAVs, drones in other words. And I guess also underwater robot submarines. So we have all these systems are being put together, and how's the software being developed? Because it's hard work implementing these things, and every time you implement something, you basically well, you're implementing a load of bugs, and you're implementing them again and again and again. So what we're talking about here is how to design the software in such a way that you plug control systems together and generate the necessary code. But this is way beyond the scope. If somebody's got a business which is trying to make money from developing some sort of product, it's a lot to take on board that generalization problem, and the trouble that I've got is I don't see where I fit into this, because you can't expect we can't have this problem of how to produce decent software is one that was being tackled by Gerald J. Sussman and Hal Abelson at least between 1986 and 2011, when Gerald J. Sussman gave that talk at Strange Loop. But between 2011 and Martin Petterson's thesis, which was 2015, well, we don't know. We don't know what we don't know how Martin Petterson implemented that C code. But there's another. The guy did a very nice little implementation. It took him 2 months working in his evenings off from his daytime job, and I'm going to I'll post that video and a link to his implementation, which is in Python. And but I've got, I don't know if I'm going to be able to convince anyone, but I'm getting an idea about how you can fit this kind of thing into a logical framework, and the essence of it is in that Gerald J. Sussman's 2011 Strange Loop talk, We Don't Even Know How to Compute, which I really think should have been titled We Don't Know How to Engineer. And we don't seem to know how to do billing either. Billing, I went to work at Aquatic Offshore. Well, I don't know what it was called, Aquatic Inc. It was a whole conglomerate of companies they were based in Aberdeen. And I went to work they employed me as a systems analyst, and in order to understand the system that I was supposed to be analyzing, I did the job for a while. They bought this 4-user ICL PC. ICL, made in the 80s, was selling, I think it was an 80186. It didn't have any fancy addressing or memory protection or anything, but it ran concurrent CPM and with a single 80186 processor running at, I don't know, 6 megahertz or something. It could run four not too dumb terminals, and that was the accounting system. It was all done on a machine with less than a megabyte of memory. And what we were trying to do was automate the billing process. But the billing process was incredibly complicated because most of the requirements were dictated by the oil companies that we were contracting people to work for. And so the billing system, it was basically, we had to integrate billing for BP, Conoco, Shell, Brown and Root. They all had different forms in which we were supposed to send in, because this company was mainly personnel. A large part of the profit was by subcontracting personnel to oil companies to work offshore, and each of these subcontractors, the people, in other words, the people that were working for, the people that actually went offshore and did the work, were each, I think they for tax reasons, each of them was a limited company, a one-man band company, so that they didn't have to deal with personal income tax. Because these guys were contractors and working for lots of different companies, they needed the flexibility in the workforce. The flexibility had to be, the only way to get sufficient flexibility apparently was for each of them to be employed by their own limited company, which was then responsible for UK income tax. And I think it was more complicated than that, because you had platforms in the North Sea which were UK, Norwegian, and there were regulations involved there. Anyway, by the end of my time there, we got nowhere. We got nowhere. I just was invoicing. All I was doing was calculating and writing out invoices, and sitting there thinking, well, the only way I can figure out how to unify, how to produce and how to automate this process, which was incredibly manual. I calculated them, I wrote the invoices out by hand, I gave them to Heather and she typed them on a typewriter, and with literal carbon copies, these 4-part pink, yellow, green, white with carbon between them. She typed them all out, and then I checked them and signed them off and summarized them and handed them to the other. That was the end. In the end, that was my job, billing. We never got anywhere near getting a piece of software together that could handle that. So we can't even handle money. And we invented that whole fucking thing. Never mind engineering systems which deal with the real world. Who is going to be responsible for putting the general framework together to make all this work? Peter Sewell, with his £500,000 grant from the Royal Society to develop logical frameworks, is he king of the world now? And is his system going to be able to generate JIT compilers for AHRSs for all these different aircraft and things? I hope so, because I haven't got the wherewithal to do that here. My landlady just told me that there's going to be a huge electricity bill and she's got to pay it with her credit card on the 2nd of September, and it sounds like it's going to be about equivalent to a month's rent at least. And I don't have that money. So I can't sell enough peanuts or enough flowers to get that. But I did have $25 saved up for my US visa. I have got enough money to go. I could do a runner. I could go to San Diego maybe and be on the street there. And at Dave Olada, they're desperately trying to get the president's dog to go and drink coffee at the coffee shop or something. I'll take a photograph of that. That's hilarious. But I don't really see what it's going to achieve. But I did enjoy reading Martin Peterson's master's thesis. That's really nicely written. No, I don't know. I don't know what the game was to tell Cell, and I don't know what I don't know. None of this stuff means anything to me. Sorry, it's. I know a lot of people are putting a lot of effort into it, but I'm not really interested. You need to be able to talk face to face and talk about what it is you're really trying to do. Like Austin and I had a good talk yesterday. That works. That shit works. But this fucking theatre, this is just, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's a problem with organised crime or something, but I don't know how to solve that. Because there's no problem there. There's no. If you don't have a problem, you don't have an answer. You just, I don't know what it is.